Hi all, so let's analyze this sentence correction quiz for GMAT. Well, for the first question, we can see 2006, okay, this part. And we can see that first of all, we need to group answers. In some, you see that there is a comma, and only in A and E, there is no comma. So we need to decide. And we can see that in A and E, we see and the outsourcing, and in B, C, D, we can see combined with. Okay, we need to read the sentence. The production of goods for export that account for about 1/3 of China's air pollution in 2006, and the outsourcing of manufacturing by the US helps explain how China has become the largest total contributor to climate change, comma, overtaking the US. Okay. And the difference, by the way, is in overtaking and overtook and so on. Okay, so which one is more correct? First of all, we need to see subject-verb point. You see, helps explain. And we can see if we can clearly see two subjects here, the production and the outsourcing of manufacturing. So logically, if we use and, X and Y, we should use, there is a rule, let me write like this. Write like this. So if we say X and Y, we should use a plural verb in the plural form, like help. But if we say X combined with Y, here there's the main subject and the subordinate subject. So X here is the main subject. That's why we say helps. Okay, that's the key rule here, and that's why we can eliminate wrong answers. So for example, for A, we see helps and the outsourcing helps. It's wrong. It should be help. B, combined with, it should be helps, and with combined heat, it's singular because there's a main subject. It's wrong. C, helps, combined with helps, right? D, help, wrong. E, and the outsourcing helps, wrong. So we can basically choose the answer C, but also there is a point with overtaking and overtook. Which one is correct? Here we can see and overtook in the B option. Pay attention to this sentence. Has become and overtook. Isn't it strange? That accounted for, maybe you can say accounted for and overtook. Maybe they are parallel structures. So the production accounted for and the production overtook the US? No, wrong. We should refer to China. China has become by overtaking. How? By overtaking. There should be the participle clause. Okay? How it has become the largest total contributor? By overtaking the US. Okay? So, I think this question is clear. Let's turn to the second question. So, here we can see that with alcohol that is taken, okay, with or when. Okay, so scientific evidence suggests that the benefits arising from the consumption of alcohol are the greatest with alcohol that is taken on a regular basis than when it is consumed. So here we can see then and when. So then should show the parallel structure. So if, for example, we say, let's say, when X happens, for example, then when Y happens. Okay, it should be like this. Or with X, then with Y. Like something parallel should happen. Okay, so let's look at this question. With or when. Logically, we should keep it like when. Why? Why? Because we say the rate is greatest when. At what time? At what period? At what specific? When alcohol is taken with meals. Okay. And you can see that in A, with alcohol, greatest with alcohol that is taken from meals on a more regular than when it is consumed. Than with, wrong parallel structure, with taking the alcohol as opposed to its consumption. No, it's strange. Here we take with taking alcohol and here consumption, wrong. When alcohol is taken with meals on a more rather than consuming it. No. You see, when alcohol is taken and here than consumed. No. Wrong. When alcohol, sorry, let me wipe it out. When alcohol is taken with meals on a moderate regular basis, rather than consumed. Yes, that can be, because there is one point of omitting some words, like ellipses. So we don't need to repeat the same structure. For example, when alcohol is taken with meals on a moderate regular basis, rather than when alcohol is consumed on binges, let's say. So here we can say when rather than when alcohol is consumed, or we can just say when consumed on binges. It is possible. Okay, we can omit the phrase in order to avoid repetition and long structures, repetitive structures. Okay, that's why D can be when alcohol taken with meal and not consumed. Here it's a bit strange, because when alcohol it's used here, alcohol, which alcohol taken with and not consumed. Here there is a participle structure while we need a verb here, so we should take when alcohol is taken or is consumed, for example, is taken with meals, and not consumed. But not, it would be better to say but not, because here we should have some comparison, and rather than as opposed to should be better. So because of this answer is also incorrect. So the answer is D here. Okay, let's continue. So 3. Because of similarity of dance synchronized, in which movements of one and more swimmers synchronized. So of one or more, or of one swimmer or more, which one is correct? Of course, we one or two swimmers, we say 1 to 5 swimmers. So we take numerals together. That's why one or more is more correct than of one swimmer or more. With normal don't say like this. It's worthy. Of one or more swimmers. Okay, by one swimmer or more, worthy, one or more swimmers possible. So and of course one or more and many people think that because of one it should be singular or plural. General plural, sorry, but we don't need to pay attention to this phrase. You see, the movements of one or more swimmers, that's why they should be in the singular form. Okay, so synchronized. And by the way, it is not synchronized, and it is not synchronized. So they are, movements are synchronized. Movements are not people, not living things. So that's why we choose the passive structure, not the active structure. Okay, that's why the answer should be C here. Okay, so let's now continue to the next question. 4. Several studies have found that the coronary who exercise most actively have half or less than half chance of dying of a heart attack as those who are sedentary. So active and sedentary people, we compare them, then we can see, okay, and it's a bit strange. Have half or less than half chance of dying of coronary disease. It would be better less chance of that. So it would be better to say they are less likely, for example. Okay, let's read. So we can see have half of the chance, or at least 50% less likely. Okay, this is for me, A, B, C are strange. Why? Have half or less than half the chance. It's very wordy, first of all. You see how wordy they are. And the word chance is a bit strange here. So yeah, of course, we can say the chance, like let's say the possibility in this term. We can use it. It's not a problem. Secondary point are at least 50% less likely. Less likely than those. Less likely. So who are less likely? We can pay attention to the answer. Less likely to die of a heart attack. as those who are sedentary. What's the problem with D and E? Let's see. In D are less likely than those who are sedentary to die of heart attack. So E is good in this term because it compares people 50% less likely, because when we say less likely we use than and not as. Okay, this is the other problem. And by the way, than is used here correctly, but than those who are sedentary do. Who are do? Wrong. Who are sedentary do. It's strange structure. It's just very strange. Who are sedentary do. Are and do. Yeah, maybe it's logically correct. But who are sedentary do, it's a bit strange. We can write it in a bit easier way. So those who exercise more actively are 50% less likely than those who are sedentary. For example, those ones to die of a heart attack. So, okay. So this is more logical because here we have the clear subject are at least more likely than sedentary to die. Are likely to do. The structure is this one. Are less likely to do. So just the problem is that there is a comparison. X is less likely. Sorry, X is less likely. For example, than Y. For example, we can say to die. For example, we can say like this. Okay. Well. So again, continuing, as I said, the word chance is weird here, and between D and E we can see less likely as, we can say less than. Okay, that's why the answer is clearly E. It's a bit difficult, I know, but the only possible option here is E. Let's now move on to the fifth one. So for the fifth one, we can see a very common problem of many students. They see this structure and don't understand why it's a problem. It's not a problem. This is not a grammatical mistake. Who was a jazz pianist and composer? But we can rewrite the sentence to make it better and shorter, because GMAT wants shorter sentences. So jazz pianist and composer, Thelonious Monk. It's possible. It's great. Actually here B is strange because it has two the close and then produce. So actually who and they are the same, but okay, let's keep it. But this one is not so great. And secondly, do we need both or not? So let's now see whether we need both or not. We generally use both when there is and it is logical. For example, when they are parallel. For example, both Luke, let's say, and Ariana. It's logical. Both robots and humans. It's logical. Robots and humans are compared. Or both X is playing and X is, and it is, for example, it is doing. Logical, because in both sentences we're talking about X doing something. But here, both written in the striped piano and Duke Ellington. Weird, right? That's why we need to omit all answers with both. And we have C and D remaining. Thelonious, so who produced? Why we need who here? Because we have clear we need to have a clear sentence and verb. And if we write jazz pianist and composer produced, okay, if we put here who produced body of work rooted, where is the subject in the first? Where is the verb in the first sentence? There won't be any verb. There will be only this part will remain without the subject, without the verb. So there will be the subject and no verb in the second, but the second part will be in many ways he stood apart from. That's why here it is illogical to use this who produced a body. That's why we should just say just Python composer produced a body, yet in many ways he stood apart. Okay, just be careful with this. It's a very common trick with GMAT. For example, X produced this, and or for example, yet he didn't like it. And imagine that we write like this: X who produced this, yet he did. Okay, here there are two sentences. It's a sorry, it's a complex sentence consisting of two simple sentences. Okay, in the second we see the subject and verb, but where is the subject and verb in the first one? Nowhere. That's why this is wrong, and that's why the correct answer is D. So let's clean it and move on the sixth one. Well, for the sixth one, we can see, should we start with being motivated, or just motivated, or not, like more recently, and where we should put like more recently the phrase. First of all, was being motivated, because it was motivated, or was being is worthy. Unnecessarily worthy. Why? Because we use continuous forms when we really need them. We use perfect tenses, continuous tenses when we really need them. Otherwise, it's better to use past simple tenses like past simple, present simple, and so on. So that's why being motivated is weird. Okay, here in the sixth one, we should choose now whether it's a not motivated or motivated not. Okay, and of course, so if we read the sentence, measuring time wasn't like the push for the greater position in measuring time was not like more recently motivated by the complicated philosophical questions about the measure, but the practical manners. By the way, motivated by complicated or but by. So here we should follow the parallelism point. By is necessary. Here there is no by, but by. Motivated, not motivated. Okay, not motivated by. It's wrong, because motivated not by, but by. It should be like this, because not only but also, or not but, they are the structures. So motivated not by X, but by Y. It should be like this. If we write not motivated by X, it will mean that we are not motivated at all. But the sentence wants to say that we are not motivated by X, but by Y. So we don't like X, but Y. That's why without by, it is incorrect. So this one is incorrect. By is here. In D, motivated by and not complicated. It's strange structure, wrong. And E says motivated not by. The not is placed in the right place. About nature and the universe, as has been the case more recently. By the way, this is also important where it should be put. But by the practical matters of navigation. Yes, it is great. Motivated not by complicated matter and like they were. Just a minute. Like they were more recently. Who they were. It's strange. Like it was the case. It's logical. But so here they refers to philosophical questions about the matter and the universe. It's strange because like it was more recently, because we talk about precision in measuring time. We're not talking about philosophical questions. The subject is why we precisely measure time. That's why C is incorrect. And more importantly, we need to point out one important thing. Like they were more recently, they should be put in the correct place, and it should be put near the structure, not by X like it was in the past, but by Y. Okay. For example, in A, it is put very early, like more, not like more recent. It's strange, weird. we should put like more recently around this phrase X, and better after the phrase X. That's why the answer is E here. Okay. E. So now let's move on to the next question. So, okay. 7. The rise of China as a superpower has filled the void created by Asia, the midst of the Soviet Union. Until it collapsed, it was the most preeminent power. Okay. Okay. Until it collapsed, it was. Weird. Until it collapsed was, for example, it would be better. Or until it's collapsible, for example. We can say China's rising, China's rise. Because it's incorrect, we can't use non-living objects in a possessive clause according to GMAT and American English, so it's wrong. The rise of China. Okay. Until it so here we should put so should we put which or not? We should put which because it's a result clause. Which until it collapsed was. For example, it's logical. So what's the result clause? Let me explain it to you. For example, China has applied this strategy, for example, which is the great success. So here, which refers not to the strategy, which refers to the whole word, to the whole sentence. China has applied. Okay, China has applied the strategy, which is the great success. Okay, so that's why we should put here which as a result clause. It's not, by the way, don't confuse it with the relative clause, in which refers to the word Soviet Union. No. No, here, sorry, it's here it's non-defining relative clause. I'm sorry. But there can also be the result clause, as I showed in the example. Here we should have which. Why? Because we explain what was mentioned about Soviet Union. Which, so we know the Soviet Union. That's why we put here a comma before which. So the Soviet Union, which until it collapsed was. So it is correct, but we need to pay attention to E, the raising of. Should we use raising? No. Raising when you lift up something, but rise when you, let's say, grow. So, and China grew itself. That's why we don't talk about lifting up something. So, D is the correct answer here. Okay, again, just for you to understand what I said. When we know the object, the USA, which has the highest, let's say, volume of something, for example, is now taking, for example. So you see the USA which has the highest. Why we should put a comma between in this clause after the USA before which? Because we know the USA, we know that there is this country. But for example, when I say a man who is standing or a book which lies, which book? We define the book that lies, the book which lies, for example, somewhere. Okay, so it's not the case in this question, but still you need to know this rule. Okay, let's wipe it out and turn to the next question. Rona had always swam 5 laps when I jumped. So GMAT doesn't like past perfect, present perfect tenses unless it is the only way to answer. So had always swam when I jumped. So when I jumped, he had already done. So as we talk about past activity happening in the past before the other activity in the past, so like X and Y both happened in the past, X happened before Y, we need to use X in the past perfect tense and Y in past simple. So when I had already not swam, it should be swim, swam, swam. So already swam 5 times. Better is to use past perfect. because we have already, and we want to show what one activity happened before the other. C, already swam, the same. Had already swam, right? Had already swam, it's incorrect. So the answer here is D. Okay, and let's look at 9 and 10. So 9 under the sorry, the Inuit people led a nomadic existence, sheltering in igloos, the ice block domes that are peculiar to. Okay, so during recent times, in the time that are recent. So you see, until recently is great. This is Verdi. This is Verdi. Up until recent, unnecessarily Verdi. Until recent times. Why it's Verdi? Here leading. Why we should put here, let's say, leading a nomadic existence, the Inuit people no, we can say just led a nomadic existence by sheltering. It is very important to understand which process should be in the close part. So for example, they here we can see the Inuit people led a nomadic existence by doing what? By sheltering in igloos. Here we need to find the main process. They led a nomadic existence. Okay, it's weird if we say they sheltered in igloos by leading a nomadic existence. It's a bit weird. So let shelter in igloos. So let a nomadic. Why we say lead? We talk about past times. Wrong. Leading and have sheltered. No, it's weird. We don't need to use present perfect here. Leading, have sheltered. It's weird. Okay. So that's why the only logical answer here is A. Okay. And by the way, many people can say that, but there is R. Why we should use here past? Because we talk about ice block domes and we give information about them. They are peculiar. If we say they were peculiar, it means that they are no longer existent. But ice block domes can be existent. We don't talk about dinosaurs or mammoths. Okay, and the last one. Here it's very easy. We just need to pay attention to splitting apart continents. Many people don't understand this phrase. It is split apart is to being, let's say, separated. Okay, we can see here the parallel structures: magnetic field, onset of ice age, splitting apart continents, and great volcanic eruptions. So there are parallel structures, and that's why here should be a noun or a noun phrase. We can say here splitting apart continents, but splitting apart continents without articles, like the article, for example, the onset, the Earth magnetic field. It would be great to use it with article, because this can be understood as a participle structure. Okay, so split apart continents. They are not split by someone. They are splitting themselves. Okay, they are splitting apart continents. Okay, they are not done by someone. Continent split apart weird, continent that were split Verdi. That's why the only possible option is B.